Roll.
Hi friends, this is Anupam V Kapil with you. Today we are talking about the recent Paris terror attacks. First of all, my condolences to all the innocent people who have died in this dastardly act. It's often said that if we could know about these things, we could prevent it. But nothing much is done. Every time all these things happen. But let me tell you that Michael Nostradamus, the French seer, he, in his book written in the 16th century, The Complete Prophecies of Nostradamus, this is written by, translated by Henry Roberts into English. This is an edition of 1949, which is uninfluenced by the post-Cold War. In 1999, when the whole world was talking about the world coming to an end as per Nostradamus in 1999, this was, of course, a propaganda. Nostradamus predictions have always been used for political propaganda, whether it was the Britishers using it or whether it was Adolf Hitler dropping leaflets during the Second World War to show that Germany is going to win the war. But I was quite upset at that point of time. I did a lot of research on these original predictions which have a lot of cryptic verses loaded with astrological references. And Nostradamus is very clear that he does not want to make his prediction so easy that if it falls in the hands of anybody, an evil person, that it could be misused. So he has written it in a cryptic language. So this was the outcome of the interpretations. I would request the camera fellow to just pan it a bit, especially this portion, where very clearly we have mentioned about Paris in these verses. We have spoken about the attack on New York. We have mentioned the date September 2001 and many more others. And this is alarming because this was written 12 years back. And we have also done some further research to supplement this. Now I'm going to take you through this prophecies and what it means and what are his predictions. Now it's impossible to remember all of them because I've compiled, these prophecies are divided in 10 to 11 centuries and the verses are scattered. It's not as if in one century you're having all the events in a sequential form. So you have to read, and the context, the time frame is very difficult. I'll start reading out a few important things. I've asked the questions myself so that the answers can be more logical and people can understand. The first question would be, there are these attacks on Paris, which I've written about in 1999 based on Nostradamus predictions. Some of these trends are very accurate and also scary. Do these predictions also say something more concrete? Well, yes, definitely. And this is what? The central and essential part of the Nostradamus predictions is that he says that these are going to be religious wars, which are going to become very common during this century. And essentially, it is a war between Islam and Christianity. He also talks about intersectional warfare between the Muslims. So as we all know that the Muslim world too is divided between Sunni and Shia Muslims. He says that there are going to be a lot of wars between Muslims and Christians and Cyprus would be ruined. He sees bombs in the night in France and Germany which are going to cause great destruction. And now he says that an invasion is going to strike France. The people are going to come from an eastern country and the route would be via Italy. Now, of course, the current bombers have come through a northern route, but he goes on to say that France is going to be danger from traitors also who are not going to be guarding the gates properly, and due to which the people will come from the sea, from the land, and also from the mountains. So he's talking about some traitors, and he talks about some great destruction which is yet to take place in France. It's not these Paris attacks what we're talking about. He's talking about some cities, Montauban, Nismes, Avignon and Bessia. These are the cities which are going to be big targets. Naples, Sicily, Sez and Pons. And in Germany, towards Rhine and Cologne. He says that there's going to be great damage to sacred monuments of art and religion. And a lot of death will be inflicted by the Muslims here. And he has given a lead here to the indications that he talks about atomic powered attack on Paris. And this is the lead is this is going to happen 1 year before this event happens. Italy will be attacked. Now, the second question is we go to, is this ISIS and terror activity is going to be destroyed in the near future, soon, by when? Everybody wants to know that. What has Nostradamus to say about that? And which are the countries which are going to be affected by this terror? Now, let me take you through this. He says that this is a very long period of war, religious war, which is going to last for a period of 70 years. And it's a terrible war between the Orient and the Occidental forces, and reportedly near Rome. He says that an Asiat, these are his precise words, translated from French into English, an Asiatic power shall come to France by way of Armenia and Turkey, and Constantinople is Istanbul, Turkey, will be governed by one of his tools. Now, this shows threat to Turkey, who is going to involve itself in a war with ISIS. Here it's very interesting. The French leadership, the President, Mr. Hollande, is talking about taking Turkey, which is also a NATO ally, to take the lead. And they're also appealing to Russia too, because unless these Turkey and Russia join hands and launch a ground invasion, nothing much substantial can be achieved. And right now the West is caught in a very compromising position. But on one hand, they are opposing Russia and trying to impose an embargo there, because Russia has attacked Ukraine and is also getting friendly to Assad in in Syria. So without their help, you can't be criticizing them or also expect help. So Turkey is going to be unwittingly be drawn because it's a NATO ally. And see what this is what Nostradamus says here. He says that the great persecution of the Catholic Church is indicated. A lot of temples are going to be defiled by the Arabs and the Poles. And he says that a leader from Morocco, a Mohammedan law, shall come and cause great grief to Spain. Mind you, Spain is not there in the picture right now, but it will come further. Spain will be conquered, and that leader shall be friendly to the Italians. He says that the earth shall tremble by pounding of terrible weapons. There shall be the fear of Mohammedan influence, and the Pope is warned. He says that in the Mediterranean Sea, Egypt shall tremble from Mohammedan influence. And around the same time, he says that there's going to be a shipwreck in the Mediterranean. So these two kind of hints are given for this event to happen. And he warns the Pope, because he says the Pope should stay close to Rome because of penalty of death. And Christian ideals are going to be overcome by Orient ideology. They will be attacked by sea. And he talks about 1 million people gathered around Persia. And he says that eventually Iran and Iraq are going to more or less unify. And Turkey and Egypt shall be invaded when Mars, Jupiter and Venus will be in Leo. This conjunction has just taken place about a month and a half back. Does that mean that Turkey and Egypt are also going to fall under the ISIS? From the likes of the interpretation, it seems yes. Now, the Romans are going to be defeated in a battle with Turkey, says Nostradamus, and they're going to request aid from Italian cities who are going to refuse them the aid. And then they shall appeal to the French leader, who shall come to their rescue and help them. This French leader will go to Constantinople, that is Turkey, and break this barbarous league. And he says that the Christian principles shall triumph over Mohammedan law. He says Paris is also going to be troubled by flooding waters. And during the same period, there's going to be a lot of unrest in the East, by the East in reference to France, Middle East, East. And he says that there's a Persian leader who's going to come and oppress Turkey a lot, and which will cause a lot of unrest. And an Arab confederacy is going to fall of its own weight, and a new Jordan and Palestine shall occupy the place of Syria. He says a terrific artillery fire is going to shake the earth, and England is going to be especially affected by this. And the wars are going to spread from one end to the other end on the earth on an Easter day. This is the lead what he has given. On an Easter day, a great cathedral will be hit by a bomb. So this is the lead. And finally he says that after a period of lot of trouble, all the races in the world shall lose their prejudices and religious hatred and be one. But that is in the far long distance past. He says the people of Northern Europe shall unite against those of the East, and the actual battle shall take place in Turkey. This is the near future. And by 2028, he says there's going to be a complete change in the lineup of nations. He says that there shall be a military revolution in Russia, and they are going to change their form of government, and they're going to become a greater power and invade many countries. By 2025, see, Nostradamus has not mentioned very many specific dates, but in this particular verse, he's talking about 2025 and 25th of October. He says by this time, China would have completed the Industrial Revolution and its economic expansion. It would have absorbed the northern Russia and also Scandinavia. He also says that Flora, this place Flora in Italy, is going to be specially affected by the fight. And he says neither the temples nor the sexes would be spared, and a lot of rich women are going to be kidnapped and taken away. Then another verse talks about Cahors, Moisac, Ruzek, Lecto in the province of Guyenne. France shall be involved in an intercity war. He's also talking about an intercity war, which seems that due to the high Muslim population, it might happen after these attacks on the ISISN start taking place. Now, friends, I'm just reading out a few sections from this piece which I've written in 1999, so you get a good idea. It says that planets suggest that USA will not hesitate to attack countries with atomic weapons in the next world war. According to modern astrologers, the theatre of war is Middle East, and the war will be between Western powers and Islamic countries. India will be involved only indirectly. Now, this is the important part. Thousands of people of the UK, Germany, Syria, Lebanon, USA, France, Arabia will die. Israel will manage to survive. This is the relevant verse which I have written about. Then we go further. International bodies of peace will watch helplessly. In World War III, forces will be polarized into two major sides based on religious demarcations. Remember the ominous press statements by Osama bin Laden, the Saudi billionaire, that hostility towards America is a religious duty for Islam's defenders, and I'm confident that Muslims will be able to end the legend of the so-called superpower America. Obtaining weapons for mass destruction is a religious duty for Islam's defenders. This has happened, it's gone. Now he says both the Bible and Nostradamus are in agreement on the eventual unification of Iraq and Iran into a modern Persia. They will be responsible for starting the World War III. The death toll will be about 2 billion, that is about 1/3 of mankind will die in this war. Egypt will fall swiftly to Persia, this is important, provoking fear among those who know that they will be the next targets. The Islamic invasion, this is an important sentence, the Islamic invasion will also result in the conquest of Rome. The Vatican City will be shifted, Monaco near Geneva will fall. There will be a lot of religious persecution along with the destruction of Catholic Church in Poland. Today's video of the ISIS is talking about conquering Rome. They're talking about an aerial attack on Paris. This is all written here. An Arab Mohammedan confederacy will attack Italy. 1 year before Italy enters World War III, Paris will be overwhelmed by a terrific onslaught of atomic-powered rockets. Another verse warns France against the Islamic forces. Then he further says, a country which has long enjoyed peace and security, they will attack New York, but will be repulsed by weapons even more terrible. When the eastern, says yet another verse, the royal bird, eagle, will fly for many months over an eastern city, and when it unlooses its most deadly weapon, the eastern wall shall crumble. Turkey will be further oppressed by an Persian leader, and further the clash between Islam and Christianity. So there's a role defined for Turkey. A 7-month war of tremendous destructive force like the world has never seen before will shake the earth, and which will involve most of the earth's surface. Many will be killed. These verses also speak of a terrific artillery fire that will shake the earth, in which England will suffer heavily. The war will spread to the ends of the earth on an Easter day when a great cathedral will be hit by a bomb, and so on and so forth. There are many other things written here. Let us come straight to question number 2. What are the safe areas and unsafe areas going to be according to Nostradamus? And also this wonderful book, Pyramidal Prophecies, written by Max Stott. They speak of flooding occurring in the Middle East, and it shall be so vast so as to inundate Portugal, Spain, France, Switzerland, and Italy. New land shall be seen near Syria, Jordan, and Israel. The end will start with movements across the west coast of America, Los Angeles and San Francisco, which will be first destroyed. The North Atlantic seaboard will not be as disturbed, and lands will appear as well. South America will be shaken from the uppermost to the end by earthquakes, and portions of New York and perhaps the whole of New York will disappear. This is written. Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, Connecticut will be submerged, and large portions of Japan will go under sea. This is also, of course, what is also written by Edward Cayce, the sleeping prophet of America. The upper portion of Europe will be changed so that the battlefields of World War II will be oceans, seas, and bays. The Arctic and Antarctic will also be touched by upheavals from eruption of volcanoes brought about by shifting of the poles. The sea lanes shall be affected, especially near Syria, Libya, Egypt, along with the Persian Gulf, Australia, and the Indian Ocean. Now, the question emerges, if indeed all this what has been predicted by Nostradamus before, can these events be avoided? See, there are some events which can be avoided and some events which are preordained to happen. Nostradamus has repeatedly said in his verses that if his warnings are heeded, dangers can be avoided. Especially he is advising France, because he was a Frenchman and he was a Catholic. He was more interested. Most of his predictions center around the safety of France. He is warning France that due to traitors within her gates, ruin will fall upon Paris, and this fight of inhabitants will result in a deserted city. He says that due to the negligence of the French, a passage would be open to the followers of Muhammad, an Arab Mohammedan confederacy dominated by the Mohammedan Church, which shall find an entry into the geopolitics largely through French aid. These are clear hints for the French to tighten up their security. What can Nostradamus do when the security is lax and ISIS and terrorists under the disguise of refugees are allowed to enter Europe? I had put up a Facebook post on the 13th of September saying that Angela Merkel's decision to allow the migrants to enter Europe was a blunder, because a lot of terrorists, ISIS and Al Qaeda, under the guise of refugees, have already entered, and a lot of these are suicide bombers, which are going to wreak havoc upon the safety of Europe. Now, we should be more concerned also about how this movement is going to affect India. I would definitely request the Prime Minister of India, Modi ji, that India is going to definitely be a superpower, and we should definitely not get involved in this war and go and fight a war under the banner of United Nations, because this is a war, it is a religious war between Islam and Christianity. And if we stay away from this war, there's no doubt that we are going to be very safe. And Nostradamus has said certain good things about India. There are a few verses which I want to take. There are only two verses in which Nostradamus has spoken about India, and I would request the cameraman to pan this. It says, from India, the bottom of Asia, a great movement shall spread, much to the perplexity of Christians, Corinthians, and Ephesians. How that by revelation was made known to me, the mystery, as I wrote before in a few words. He is giving astrological references, Mars, Mercury, and Moon, when they join together. And they're going to, this is what the verses are on India. So they're going to be surprised by this. And there are a few other verses which I would like the camera person to pan and just show. So that the people can actually see the verses for themselves. See this one also. This is interesting. This is relating to France. This also pertains to France. This is, he's talking about the place in another one. This is very important. He talks about some people coming from Britain to attack France. And finally, we have the port of Agda, a city in France that shall be the entering point for foreign propaganda. Eventually, the whole country will be conquered thereby. This is very important. So friends, this is all we have for today, and I just wish that many people who have died, may God give them the strength, and also our international leaders, they should think about their strategy once again. In 1991, I had written to the President of America, George Bush, before they were to attack Saddam Hussein, that they should not go for this kind of thing. It's going to have far-reaching impact. And as we see today, there seems no solution. And there are a few hints which I would like to give to the intelligence agencies. If the camera could pan it here, there's a piece which I've written in 2006, When It Strikes 11. Now, you got it? Now it's very clear that all the dictators, Osama bin Laden, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Benito Mussolini, Saddam Hussein, all of them had 11 either in their name or their date of birth. So to answer that question, whether some events are preordained, some people are bound to do these things, and some people by circumstances they become like this. Here I have shown about the events, the calculations are given here. I'm just taking you through this. And it struck me that why is it that 11 number and especially 11 number appears in these terror attacks. There was an attack on German bakery in the 11th month. That was on 13th of November, 11th month. 11th September we had this attack on New York. 13th of November, that is again 11th month, we had this attack on Paris. 26/11 we had this attack in Mumbai. So I studied about this, and it would surprise most of you that number 10 and 11 are considered to be holy numbers in the Islamic literature, and 11 number is said to be a number which is very lucky to wage jihad, the holy war. And it is said that a person fighting on the 11, if he dies in jihad, he gets Jannah, he goes to heaven.